It's a different congressman. They're all congratulating
Is that an
us.
iPhone, sir?
Yeah, it's lucky it is. Right? Okay, let's go.
The president that just threatened to raise the cost of iPhones on every American consumer because he woke up in a bad mood doesn't have to worry about it because, like he shows us every day, he hates this country.
And you can see that it's been a bad morning at the White House in terms of thinking these negotiations are getting somewhere. So,
well, that's always been the big question. Everyone said we're going to have all these deals. We still haven't seen just about any of them.
I thought India was supposed to be done.
Right.
Japan.
you can see the FTSE in Italy is the biggest decliner of the European averages. It's down by about 1.9%. And then here are the declines that you see in the United States. Dow futures down by 470 points. S&P futures off by 67. The NASDAQ down by close to 300. Joe, you mentioned that Treasury yields were coming down. I guess that's what would happen if you thought you were approaching a recession more rapidly.
Stocks are dipping again, while CNBC asks why Trump woke up this morning and posted this. I have long ago informed Tim Scott of Apple that I expect their iPhones that'll be sold in the United States of America will be manufactured and built in the United States, not India or any place else. If that's not the case, a tariff of at least 25% must be paid by Apple to the U.S. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This guy must have had an issue with his phone this morning, got annoyed, and figured he'd deal with it the only way that he knows how, to threaten some tariffs. And while he was going, he decided to go after the EU next. The European Union, which was formed for the primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade, has been very difficult to deal with. Their powerful trade barriers, VAT taxes, ridiculous corporate penalties, non-monetary trade barriers, monetary manipulations, unfair and unjustified lawsuits against American companies, and more have led to a trade deficit with the U.S. of more than $250 million a year, a number which is totally unacceptable. Our discussions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I'm recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union, starting on June 1st. There is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The countdown is started until the day Trump announces a deal/announcement to pause his random tariffs for another month or so while they negotiate further. The biggest problem is that these reporters didn't ask him why he's starting this merry-go-round again.
On Apple, you said this morning that if they don't make their iPhones in the U.S., you're going to hit them with a 25% tariff. Right. Do you have the power to tariff one single company? And why would you want to hurt an American company in that way?
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June, it'll come out. I think we have that appropriately done by the end of June. So if they make that product. Now, again, when they build their plant here, there's no tariff. So they're going to be building plants here. But I had an understanding with Tim that he wouldn't be doing this. He said he's going to India to build plants. I said, that's okay to go to India, but you're not going to sell into here without tariffs. And that's the way it is.
It doesn't have to make any sense. He doesn't have to know anything about what he's talking about. He's just spewing all this stupidity and ignorance while he keeps getting distracted by his iPhone ringing. This is the clownish dictatorship that he promised to have.
Why impose tariffs that you know are hurting American businesses?
They're not hurting. They're helping because they're creating jobs in America. And we're creating tremendous amounts of jobs in America like you've never seen. We're having investment in America. We're not getting ripped off by every country in the world. We've been ripped off by every country in the world. They're making their product. They sell it. They don't give our people the jobs. They make them with other countries' jobs. If they're going to sell it here, generally speaking, not for all products. There's some products we don't want to make. And frankly, we're much better off getting them elsewhere. But for certain products, we want cars. We want to make cars. We don't want to have, and I like Canada very much, but we don't want to have Canada making our cars. We want to make our cars. Oh.
You notice that whenever he's cornered on his empty logic and accidental admissions of both claiming tariffs aren't paid by us, but that they are, no one is there to shame him for rambling instead of acknowledging those lies. So let's see what they asked him about his other threatening posts against the EU.
When you say that Walmart should eat the cost of the tariffs, is that an acknowledgement that it is U.S. companies that bear the brunt of tariffs, not foreign countries?
Sometimes the country will eat it. Sometimes Walmart will eat it. And sometimes there'll be something to pay, something extra. I've always been a fan, and I've always believed. And if you look, take a look at what I did 4 years ago. We had the greatest economy, and we had no inflation. Remember that. We had no inflation, and yet we had hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs that I put on China, yet we had no inflation. We had no big cost differential. Oftentimes, and I don't like it when a department store, because they'll do a lot of business, but they announce record profits and everything else. They have to take out some of their profits. They'll make a little bit less money. But I don't want the consumer to pay.
Pay attention. I mean, we've gone from 90 deals in 90 days to I already set the deal. It's at 50% because that's what I came up with this morning on the can. Everything I've ever said about anything means nothing. So I'm just trying to figure out when people are going to stop taking what he says seriously. He operates based on his ignorance, ego, and emotion.
Mr. President, you are a deal maker, deal breaker. What are you hoping to achieve with a 50% tariffs on the?
Well, I think this is there is no tariff, because what they'll do is they'll send their companies into the U.S. and build their plant. We have. I guess over $12 trillion practically committed. You look at other presidents, they haven't had $1 trillion for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. We have numbers. Nobody's ever seen numbers like we have. And if they build their plant here, then they have no tariff at all.
Are you looking for a deal in 9 days? Will you be able to do that, sir?
I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%. But again, there is no tariff if they build their plant here.
Are there other countries you're considering shortening the 90-day pause on tariffs for? And then are there specific steps you're looking for the EU to take?
Well, we have a lot of requests, and you don't have the people to handle it, frankly. Everybody wants to make a deal. I'm sure now the European Union wants to make a deal very badly, but they don't do it right. They don't go about it right. We add that to the fact that they do the non-monetary tariffs and lots of other trading, you would call them trading barriers. They don't take our cars. They don't take our agriculture. They don't take anything, but we take their cars by the millions.
Looks like we're right back at the EU being unfair on trade after claiming he isn't even looking for a deal with the EU. Listen, it's okay for everyone to admit that we're all watching someone make wild decisions that negatively affect the vast majority of the country. I mean, MAGA can still hate all the people that they hate and point out that Trump is destroying the economy and has no plan beyond slogans.
On the tariffs that you mentioned, you had a lot of discussions in Canada. Japan was a part of that. You've talked about Japan a lot. If the Japanese is not the next country to do a deal, who is?
As I mentioned before, we're far along with India, and they got in early on. Many of the Asian countries have come with very good deals. So there are 18 important trading partners, and I would say with the exception of the EU, most are negotiating in very good faith.
Who do you think goes first?
Bill, we're going to have to see.
Is it a summer battle? Do we take this into the fall? And if we take it into the fall, are we talking about 2026? To do a deal that you can announce publicly?
With the EU?
With the EU, which you have with anybody. You pick it.
No, look, these deals are moving quickly, and I think as we approach the end of the 90-day period, we're going to see more and more of them announced.
Okay, is that July then?
I think that's the 90 days.
Okay, so we will look for that then.
Man, this is embarrassing. Bill Hemmer looked like he was slowly realizing that as he carried Bessent through those questions, he had no idea what was going on, and that they're probably nowhere near a trade deal that isn't 10 times worse than what we had before Trump decided to drive the car off a cliff. That's why he mentioned 2026. Like, are you going to make this an issue for the midterms? I mean, forget the American people and businesses suffering under this stupidity. Are you going to mess around and make our party lose next year's elections? It's still party over country. And prominent Republicans, like Senator Tom Tillis, are willing to tell the truth about what Trump's policies are doing, but only to rich investors at some closed-door events. Watch.
I did business advisory services for mainly Fortune 500 companies, either in banking, media, entertainment, telecommunications. If I were in the boardroom with any, or in a C-suite with any of the clients that I had in the past, I would say, talk to me in about 90 days on anything related to my advice on capital expenditures. There are too many unknowns to deploy capital right now. You'd have to be out of your mind, or you've discovered a secret to business that I just have never figured out.